Oh, there we go. It's recording. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, a little bit tired. It's the first day of
Yeah.
my period, so I'm like, excuse my
Uh, yeah.
God, to be a woman, honestly.
Yeah.
How was your Christmas party on Friday night?
Really good. I got
Yeah.
home.
Oh, I forgot to tell you to send me a picture of you all dressed
I
up.
forgot to take a picture. So
Oh, did you feel good?
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Got quite drunk.
Oh,
Um,
good.
a lot of cocktails. Had a dance.
Nice.
And I was home by midnight. So all good.
Oh, before you were home before, what's that?
Turn into a pumpkin. Yeah.
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 Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So you
Yeah.
just kind of went and let your hair down a bit.
Yeah, it was good. So I was a little bit hungover yesterday, but not too bad. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, good. And you felt good in your outfit?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It was quite warm though. So even though I was wearing like just a dress,
Yeah.
it was quite hot, but it was all right. So
Yeah, nice. Are you on holidays now?
yes,
Oh,
3 weeks. 3 weeks. I go back on
oh,
the 11th. So
that must feel amazing,
yeah,
especially when you work like full time, 9 to
yeah,
5.
yeah. So I slept until about like 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh, did you?
But it was good. So yeah.
How do you know my really good friend James Carson? I saw him. How do you guys know each other? That's crazy.
So when I used to work hospitality, he was working for I think it was like the Princess Margaret Hospital Foundation or something like that. And we did a big fundraising campaign, and we had all these like pink duck things, and he like brought them over, and yes, that's how we met.
Cool. I thought you might have just met him online.
No, that was like maybe 6 years ago or something.
Oh wow.
So,
what a small world.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's been going on? How are you feeling? Like anything what's been really present for you?
Well, obviously this week was all over the shop. So for work wise, it was just a absolute clusterfuck, really.
Thankfully not a COVID clusterfuck.
No. So
I just wrote the word clusterfuck work next.
yeah, so we sort of did 3 full days, and it was like a scramble. Everything was all over the place. And then the last 2.5 days we're sort of just packing up because we're moving office. Well, they're moving
you
over
said
break.
that.
So it was like an absolute, everyone in casual clothes, packing up, throwing out stuff. So it was quite intense. But nothing major, I don't think, happened. Really.
I wanted to ask you before we get stuck into work stuff, how did you feel after the breathwork session? Like, did you find you needed to integrate it? Did anything else come up around that?
No, not really. I don't think so. It sort of just kind of after like our talk on the Sunday, as soon as I sort of got back into work, it just sort of dissipated. But like I'm still sort of reflecting on what did come up though. So particularly around like what we talked about last weekend and the last session. So but I really want to go do another one.
I was just literally about, it's so funny, Kirsten just sent me a message just then and I turned my phone around because I can't just about to ask you, because obviously Kirsten's doing a group one in the mastermind, but it's probably not going to be till halfway through. And she's going to be doing all your human designs like at the very beginning. But I was going to suggest, if you feel called, go and do a private one-on-one with her in her studio in Brisbane. And I know she does Sundays. I think she's pretty busy, like until even February. Like you'd have to pre-book kind of thing. But yeah, I think that would really benefit the work that we do. A lot of my clients do healing stuff outside of coaching as well.
Yeah.
So you might even want to tap deeper into some of the stuff that came up on the first session.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I will probably just do another one with her, because at least I know her now, so it's not so like awkward. But yeah, I really liked it.
It's such a great way of honestly getting to the deep core root, because we've got so many layers, right? I've spoken to you about the different layers, and we think we've healed something, and then it comes back and we're like, oh fuck, here we go again, right? The same shit. Whereas breath work, because it's very somatic, right? And trauma lives in our cells, right? So when you're breathing, and I encourage you when you do a one-on-one to go really deep, like surrender, let yourself go, scream, cry, kick your feet, whatever comes up, because you're releasing so much trauma and you feel so light afterwards.
Yeah.
And so it's like a fast track to healing, breath work.
Yeah.
It's deeper than, say, what I guess mindset or coaching can do, because we're working more on the conscious mind, whereas breathwork's really getting into that subconscious, the stuff that you don't even know sitting there, but it's controlling the way that you show up in your life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, get on. Yeah, have a chat. See when she's like, even pre-book a session, because I know she's quite busy. Or she's taking time off now. So yeah, I think that will be amazing, and getting your human design will be really good as well next year, because it'll help you to understand how to work and probably show up in your business. But speaking of your business, what happened with Samantha? Did she get back to you? The branding girl.
Yeah. I was like, what? Who? So we're just talking through a few things, because she said she can only do like logos up to a certain size, and I don't know if I want it like some bigger branding stuff done yet. So, but I'm talking to her. She's really nice. So just sort of, and she said,
see how you go. If it doesn't feel aligned, don't feel obligated to kind of go through with it, right? You've got to find the right person that's going to work for you. So I just thought it would be good for you to, she's pretty awesome at design. She's about to start doing all my new design in Jan. But obviously you've got to make sure, it's working for you.
Yeah.
What happened with Fiverr?
I'm still looking through that. So I'm just still trying to find something that like jumps out of me, basically, because there's so much on there. It's like, it's pretty crazy. So just trying to like sift through and look at, like, see if they have anything similar to what I want, all that sort of stuff. So, but I'm not in a major rush either, so I kind of want to take my time with it, because I want it to be right. Because I don't really want to have to do this again in another 24 months or whatever. So
I mean, take your time and get your options on the table if you're not in a hurry, and then feel into what feels best for you, kind of thing.
And now that I've got sort of 3 weeks off, I've got a lot of time now to sort of sit down and really hoe into that, like the business stuff again. So I'm hoping that will sort of like relight it within myself a bit as well, with the motivation and getting it all up and jazz, and working out some actual, well, I guess more of a plan when I do go back to work on how I can sort of keep it up and all that sort of stuff. So.
So what are you planning to do for the 3 weeks? Talk to me a bit about that.
Well,
your intentions, I guess.
So Mum and Dad fly in tonight. So
from Perth?
So they're here for 8 days. So
amazing.
We'll just, so the 8 days there, I don't really know. We haven't really made plans yet, but probably we'll hang around home a bit, but probably go out as well. But I can still do bits and pieces while they're here. Like, it's not major. But then once they leave, I sort of just want to chill out, obviously, but like really sort of hoe in, because it gives me another, almost 2 more weeks after that, really, hoe into it, but at the same time still take some me time and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I told you that I quit the gym or my workouts. So I found a really nice Pilates studio about 10 minutes from home. So it's very like them. So
is it?
yeah, it's like,
look at you going all
Sam.
Sam.
But it was like,
what's happened to you? Or soft and Sam? What have I done? What have I done to you?
So
you might even call in your king next year, hey?
Yeah, I don't know. So I sort of looked around, and then that one just popped up on Instagram of all things. So I'm gonna go, if they reopen in Jan when they do after Christmas, I'm gonna go have a look at it and see what it's like. Because it's basically the same price as what I was paying for the workouts anyway, so that's not really a big problem.
That's a great way to start the new year.
I think so. And I like Pilates, so it's a bit more entwined with what I want to be. So yes, that's that plan. So I'll do that as well. Find one of those and go shopping. I need to get some, because we went and looked at the new office, and it's very modern corporate. So I think I said that last time. I want to try and get some, like, we get uniforms and stuff for work, but I want to get, just some nicer stuff to wear and some shoes and stuff like that. So I'll probably spend some time, and because I'm not a big shopper, I don't really like it. So if I can find it online and then maybe go get it or something like that. So but other than that, no real big plans. Like, I don't have any plans for New Year's Eve or anything like that. So
I would suggest actually probably one of the action tasks that I'll give you while we're on this break is to really sit down and give yourself a day and start to map out what you want to achieve in your business next year. Like, really set that deep intention. What does it look like for you? Like, what are some big, I guess, pressing goals that you'd like to achieve in like the first 3 months? You could do 6 months, 9 months and 12 months. And just break them down into like really like little things. Like, for me, I want to have my podcast launched by March, right? But I don't have an exact date. So, break them down into 3-month increments so they're not feeling so big and you're not overwhelmed and stressed about, oh my God, how am I going to get it all done?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Yeah. And so when you messaged me last week about your work, I just want to go back.
Oh, yeah, so I was in a state of it was pretty bad. Like, it was just a lot of things built up where they weren't going right. Obviously, nothing goes right around Christmas time. And it was just up to a point where I was just like, oh, I really don't want to be here anymore. Like, I just I want to get out of here. So I think it was like that accumulated with end of year tiredness and just the fact that we're so close to the end, and it's just like you kind of almost like shut down basically. I can't, like, I got the flu last weekend, like after
after the breath work that can happen.
So I got, like, it wasn't like flu, but like I got real like congestion and all that sort of stuff, had a bit of a cough, and so that was sort of like dragging me down a bit. And then I was like, it was so bloody, like, it rained all last weekend, so that was sort of like got me into like a bit of a miserable state. Like, I love rain and cold weather and stuff, but it was just sort of, that was the icing on the cake to like kind of just like ugh. And then just these things, all these accumulative things happened at work, and I was just like, nah, don't want to be here no more, I'm gonna quit, like, all this sort of stuff. And then I was like, because the job I had before this one, it got like, it was in hospitality, and I was doing big hours on base salary. Like, I wasn't getting overtime or anything like that, and the venue manager who I was filling in for, she just basically like was like, I'm not coming in today, you have to cover for me, all that sort of stuff. And it was just like, ugh. And it got to a point where I was just like, nah. Like I had a couple of big personal things happen like a couple months before that, and so I wasn't in the best mindset. But I got to a point one day and it was like 2:30 a.m. on night shift, and I was just like, nah, typed up my resignation letter, was like, blah, 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 sent it, like, because she wasn't there. So I was like, well, who the hell do I send this to? So I had to send it to like the area manager and just emailed him. And I was like, look, really sorry to do this, but here's my letter, blah, 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 I'll give you 4 weeks or whatever. Had no job, no plan. It was just in that state. And, you know, they was like, oh, do you want to, like, what can we do to make you stay? And I was like, nah, I don't want to stay, like, you know, all this sort of stuff. And then literally, I think it was a week and a half later, I got an interview for the job I was in now, and then basically got that job. So it was like, oh, ding, 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 you know. And yeah, it was probably like the best decision I ever made, but also quite scary because I had no plan.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that again. But that was the mindset I was in. I was like, nah, I've done it before, I can do it again, like all that sort of stuff. So
I mean, it can go one or two ways, right? I know when I was putting it out there, I hated my job. I was over it. I wasn't working like I should have. And I was like, no, I'm going to just build my business on the side. And I was out of alignment with my job, right?
Yeah.
And the universe just started like whacking me with this shit. And I lost a job. And then I went and got another job. And then it didn't work out. So it depends, right? It depends how intentional you are. Like if you were to write a letter that you're not going to resign for 2 years, I don't think it's going to happen now. But eventually the universe is going to start throwing you curveballs, and you're either going to have to step up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is scary and it is risky. And when I did all of that, it was. And in the end, I had to just kind of burn all the boats kind of thing. So maybe with you, and I'm just going back and reading it, maybe a slight more solid plan with a date to work towards is better than a letter. Yeah. So instead of writing the letter, you could maybe just really sit with when would you love to be out of your job, like kind of what would feel good, but also know that it might come sooner if it's meant to come sooner. And the thing with you is, hun, the quicker you build your business and get the momentum and the consistency, where we're going to be working with you next year, the quicker you're going to be out of that job.
Yeah. So after that whole sort of, I calmed down after that. I was like, and after you said that as well, I was like, yeah, that's probably an easier, sort of more calm approach. And so I was thinking, well, what about if I set it for this time next year? So I would give myself basically 12 months to sort of really work it out, plan it out, like you said, put some structure behind it, because at the moment it was totally on a whim and I have no idea what I'm doing, like that sort of thing. But if I can actually take, you know, a day, like you said, and really sort of put those 3-month goals in place and work towards and figure out what it looks like, and where I need to be, obviously, like financially as well, and just put those, even if it's like a monthly target or a weekly target or something like that, that's small and approachable. I think that would work a lot better for me, rather than just go, all right, it has to be done by this date, and no real
so what you could do is and because a lot of my clients work as well, and so what you could do is you could have a certain amount of money you want in the bank, and that means that you feel safe enough to leave your job, or it could be when your business is earning a certain amount per month, but then that's also a little bit unstable, because businesses can go up and down, up and down, up and down. Right. So what does a buffer look like? Some of my clients like, I want this much money in the bank, so I know I've got 6 months of savings if I'm having a tougher period or whatever it is. So it just depends what feels good for you.
Yeah.
And I know that you're an organized person and you like to
Yeah.
budget, and that's all great because it's safety. So for
Mm.
you, it might be, I want a certain amount of money in the bank, or I want to have earned a certain amount of money in your business.
Yeah.
What do you do with the money you earn in your business now? Does that go back into your business, hun?
Yeah. Straight back. Yeah. Because I haven't actually turned a profit yet. Like, I'm still in the red, but it just goes straight back, and then I also add some in if it has to. Feel that.
Right. Okay. And so then you kind of live off your salary right now. Yeah. Okay. So it's perfect. It's serving its purpose for you. If you didn't have your full-time job, then you'd be in fight or flight mode and probably
correct.
scarcity, and then you'd never be building your business, right?
Yeah.
For
sure.
So I think it's like, okay, what feels good for you, but how can you keep building? Because we want to get you out of the red, right? We want you to be making a profit in your business so that you're able to then pay yourself an income.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think I've just got to really sort of sit down and work that out as well, which it's not hard, but just got to actually allocate that time. Like you said.
Like I suggest, and when you allocate that time, like putting it in your diary, like literally like go in and put, business planning day.
Yeah.
And take yourself to a cafe if you want, or do it at home or wherever feels good, where you actually sitting down and you're really intentional with this process. And it's not like you're just like a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the universe loves intention. The universe is like, okay, she's ready. What do we need to do to make this shit happen, right?
Yeah.
And they're working behind the scenes, conspiring to make it happen while you're taking the aligned action, obviously, as well. And then both of them together, it's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's really getting clear on what you need to be doing on your part, because the universe will do its thing if it sees you doing your thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just sitting back and going, I'm going to leave my job in 12 months and manifestation, the universe is like, because treat the universe like a human, like, or a person. It's watching you 24/7.
Yeah.
And then it throws things at you based on it's almost like a big brother, right? Think of the universe as big brother. Like, fuck, is the universe watching me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I think would be really good for you to do. I'm just writing down your taskings over those 3 weeks. So book out a day, and do business planning. Now, how are you going with like your daily rituals, and have you fallen off the wagon a bit? Or
definitely fallen off the wagon. Obviously last week was just all over the shop, so we're gonna get stuck back into that now.
And so what are you committed to doing over these 3 weeks in regards to daily practices or daily rituals, given the fact your parents are going to be here for 8 days as well?
Yes. And that was something I wanted to talk to you about. So with my parents, and this is just previous experience, obviously I get along really well with my dad, but me and my mum tend to clash when we're in, a long-term proximity of each other.
But are they staying with you?
Yes.
God.
So I've moved out. I'm cleaning my room today, moving out of my room into the spare room because I'm going to stay in my room. And then, so what usually happens is like I can do a couple of days, but then sort of on that 3rd or 4th day, like I get a bit irritated, or she starts doing things that I don't agree with, and kind of get to a point where I'll either snap at her or she'll snap at me. And it's not like, still love my mom and everything, but
this is
and I just,
family triggers you the most.
And I just, and I don't know how it's going to be. It might be better this time because we haven't seen each other in almost 2 years, and the whole COVID thing. And like I rang Dad yesterday because they're in Perth at the moment, and I was like, oh, you know, what are you doing, blah blah blah. And he's like, Dad's not an emotional person, but he even sort of said to me, he goes, oh, I'm really miss you guys, like I'm really excited to see you. And he doesn't really say anything like that, and I could even hear it in his voice where he was a bit like, not upset, but just, you know, a bit on the more emotional side for him. And I was like, well, maybe this will be a good a really good 8 days. Like maybe if I put in a bit of, you know, effort in the back of my mind to just be like, all right, you know, maybe don't yell at mum for that. Like maybe just let her do it and just sort of take a step back, because I know she'll come in and she'll be coddling both of us, and you know, like mums do, and all that sort of stuff. And so I don't know, like if something comes up, if I can message you or just say, hey, what should I do in this situation? Yeah. Or like, because I don't want to be a bitch to my mum, but sometimes it just gets to a point where I can't help it. It just like it just goes and it just comes out, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have snapped at her for that. And then I get
what triggers it? Like what's the underlying thing that causes the emotion for you to then react and not respond?
It's circumstantial. Like, so my parents are big drinkers. Like they're both, let's just say they're alcoholics. They don't go a day without drinking booze and stuff like that. And you know, there were times where as a child I'd be on, like, come out of my bedroom to get like a glass of water, and there's like my mum who's drunk 3 bottles of champagne, passed out on the couch, and gets up the next day to go to work and all that sort of stuff. And like didn't really have an effect on me then, but then obviously when I grew up and then I started having, like, I don't drink a lot now because I sort of realized that it doesn't do me well. Like I either get very emotional to the point where I've had almost some like suicidal moments after a big night drinking, or I get really aggressive, or I just, it's not good for me. So, but my parents like drink a lot, and it can get to a point where, you know, she's had a bit too much and she'll say something and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, no, like don't say that. Or or she'll do something where I particularly don't do it that way, like, you know, cleaning or something like that. And I'm not like OCD or anything, but there'll be something she'll do and I'll be like, oh, don't do that. Like, you don't do that way, you do it this way. And but it's mainly when she gets quite drunk that it really gets offset. And being Christmas time and that, I know like obviously they're gonna want to drink and stuff. Dad's not so bad. Like Dad just sort of shuts off and goes to bed and all that sort of stuff. But particularly with mum, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that we weren't that close either when I grew up. Like she was always more attentive to my brother than me, and you know, would make sly comments like, oh, you can't wear that, or you know, don't do that. So I think in the back of my mind it's like now I'm trying to do the reverse and be like almost do it to her. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, you can't do that, like don't do that, don't do this.
It sounds like there's definitely some healing with your mum would be, like we said, you know, amazing with the breath work as well. And so what I'm hearing is, because I notice when you talk about your family, you're like, but you know, it's not that bad and I still love them. And it's okay to have issues with your family. Like, you know, we've all got trauma. It doesn't mean just because our parents aren't separated or didn't do anything bad, right? And so you going into a relationship next year, like it's not just generally the relationship with your father, but it's also the relationship with your mother as well. And so what I would suggest when you're mum and dad are here, number one is how can you respond rather than react, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really hard because I know when my family pushed my buttons, like they did this week, I went and got tattoos and they were like having a go at me, and I just kind of
yeah.
And
Been
I just didn't even react this time. I was like, oh, well, whereas normally I would be like, don't tell me what to do. And I got a different response from them because I responded and I didn't. And I said, yeah, they're nice, aren't they? Like, I love them.
Yeah.
And so the only way we can change the family dynamics is if we change the way that we interact with them. Frustrating because you just want to say, shut the fuck up half the time.
Yeah.
But then it causes more tension and more more chaos. So with your mum, the big key for you in the next 8 days is going to be awareness and the noticing when you get triggered. So your trigger book is going to be a big one for you in the next 8 days.
Yeah.
And I want you to really keep a diary, write it down, send it through to me. You can contact me over over private message at any time over the next few weeks. Like, I'm still messaging my clients.
Yeah.
And so if a really big one comes up,
yeah,
contact me, ask me, we can work through it, because it might be a uncomfortable conversation you need to have with your mum over these 8 days to change something, to change that dynamic that's not working.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan, because I was quite unsure on how to tackle it, because I don't want it to keep happening, but it's like I need to be aware of why it happens and how to actually work through it, because and maybe I'm not aware either of what actually is the trigger. And so I think if I write it down in the book, and if anything comes up massive, I'll definitely send you a message. But I think just that awareness, like you said, of why it happens. And
it's also like because a trigger, actually, I've got a really good worksheet on triggers that my own coach sent me about 6 months ago. So I will send you that probably on tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's quite an intense process, right? It's going to require you to actually sit with yourself and do the work.
Yeah.
And so if a big trigger comes up, then we could even go into that process.
Yeah.
Because a trigger is going to ignite a reaction. I know when I get triggered, I get a feeling or a sensation in my body. And that's when I used to react straight away. And that's when I would lose my shit at my family or hang up on the phone to my sister or something like that. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, okay, I'm being triggered. And then I sit with it, because a trigger is always, there's something within us that we need to be looking at.
Yeah.
And so with you, it could stem right back to your childhood.
Yeah. Don't know. That's the thing. Don't know now. But I want to know. That's the other thing. I really want to find out why, because I don't want it to keep happening either. So. And
also be really aware of your relationship with your father. I'd be really interested. We'll have a chat with you. I'll chat with you about this on your next session, because the relationship with your father really sets the scene for the relationship with the man.
Yeah.
So if you have I had a relationship with my father where I never felt good enough, I never felt loved, and then I kept attracting men that would show up that way, right? And it was feeding that story of, I'm not lovable by a man, no man's going to accept me for being me. And not saying that's your story at all, but even though you say you've got a good relationship with your dad, be aware of what still goes on with that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we get along well, because I think he's always just called me out on like my bullshit, but then actually gave me the time to sit down and talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Whereas my mum would just be like, discipline, go to your room, I'll see you next Tuesday, sort of thing. And I think that's why deep down we have a better connection, because we've actually I feel like we spent more quality time together than I have with my mum. And I'm wondering if that is a conversation I need to have with her, because I don't want to make her feel guilt, like bad or anything. But when I have tried to, I guess, have a deeper conversation with her, it's never been like, I've never felt that connection there. Like, it's kind of always been standoffish. And like, she's quite religious, like she goes to church, but then, you know, things she does is very contradictive of that. And ever since she because my brother's gay, and like I knew before they did and all that sort of stuff, and she was staying with us one time, and she got to a point where she was so manipulative and just kept pressing me to tell her. And this is probably one of the biggest things that really sort of broke our relationship, was like, she got me to a point where I told her he was gay before he had the chance to tell her. And then she basically was like, oh, my son's going to go to hell. Like, had the whole religious breakdown bullshit, and was like, put me into a situation where she was like, well, you told me, so, you know, it's kind of your fault almost. But then the flip side of that is he didn't come out to them for maybe another 4 or 5 months, and it gave her the time to sort of get all that shit, like all those negative feelings out, for her to have a better reaction when he told her. And I was like, well, maybe that was a good thing, you know, in the long term, because if she had that reaction when he told her, it could have totally crushed their relationship. But it still deep down quite affects me, because I was like, she pushed me to the point where I had to tell her. And it wasn't my business to tell her. And me and my brother get along, like we've never had a fight, like we're best, you know. There's only us two, so. But I was
That's
like,
a positive thing though for
yeah, but the
relationship.
point there where I was like, I've betrayed his trust because I told her, and I only told him that happened maybe 6 months ago. I was like, I need to tell you something, because I just had to tell him one day. I don't know why, it just came up, and I was like, I have to tell you something. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's fine, and like didn't really care. But I was like,
because you had good intentions, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he understood that. But ever since then, I've kind of lost a lot of trust between her for that, because just how she reacted, she put me into that situation. It's not the first time she's done something like that either, but for that was like the biggest one. And I just, it just, in the back of my mind, I've always got that thought of like, I don't want to tell her things now, because it's going to manipulate me or try and use it against me, or if it doesn't sit within her lines of, you know, her beliefs and stuff. Like, that's just, I don't know. Whereas Dad doesn't go to church. He doesn't go with Mum. He like goes to the footy on Sundays. That's his religious thing, like, you know. So
it sounds like, you know, your mum, she has these rules and these things that, you know, she would like you to abide by. Obviously you're your own person, and so you get to choose. So what happens is then people start projecting their stuff onto you, right? And so, as you've mentioned many times, right, you struggle to express your emotions, and your family can be a little bit like that, especially with your mum. It's very difficult to then have those conversations. It's very uncomfortable to sit down, because my family's the same. It's so awkward. They don't want to talk about their emotions. But the more you bring that to the table little by little, and yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable and there's going to be discomfort, the more you're going to start to change that relationship, right? And so all you can do is your best. And all you can do is little bit by little bit. If you know, if you need to have that conversation with your mum, how does that look? because your mum might find it very uncomfortable herself. And she might be like, oh, this is not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're doing it for both of you is really what matters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this kind of stuff is going to really support you moving forward to open yourself up to opportunities, because it's really a deeper level of intimacy. And like we've spoken about, creating that intimacy within first.
Yeah.
And that changes you being able to open up and create intimacy with other people, whether it's your family or your friends or your future king, your future partner. And so it's just leaning for you over the next 8 days, especially. It's just leaning into those edges. You might feel a bit uncomfortable. You might just want to shut yourself back down, but not, my foot's gone to sleep. Not judging any of it, and knowing that you can't fuck it up and you can't get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no right or there's no wrong at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so that trigger journal, keeping it with you. Also, I'll send you the worksheet, which is more if like a really big trigger like a trigger comes up and you're like, fuck, this is the same trigger that keeps coming up with my mum, right? Yeah. It's like this is it again and again and again. And so that's where the trigger process is going to be really, really good for you. And then from there, you can even take it into a breathwork session if you want.
Yeah.
Then it's simple. You could go into a breathwork session just with an intention to heal your relationship with your mum, and whatever comes up, comes up. You don't have to have a big set intention. It can just be as simple as I want to heal some more of these wounds.
Yeah.
This is good. I think it's great that they're coming, because it's going to really support you into going into next year and opening yourself up more and more for that relationship to come forward.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing them and everything, and actually having some quality time. So, and it's been way too long. Like 2 years is too long.
Wow, has it been 2 years?
Yeah, but we worked it out, because they usually come over like once a year, or we go back home. And they were last year for my brother's uni graduation, and then they were meant to come back in, I think, July or something, and then COVID, and they couldn't. And so it's been basically 2 years, or just under 2 years. So,
well, you can tell them you're going to be back in Perth next year in September.
Yeah, well, that's it. So, and I think that it's funny. I think that actually works out quite well, because my cousin's potentially getting married in November. So I might just do like a massive extended trip then. Yeah.
Well, the retreat's in September though.
Oh, is it September?
Yeah. I was like, what are you going to do? Stay for 2 months?
Yeah. No.
Well, when you're working in your business full time, you can do that, right?
Maybe, yeah.
That's all you need. And so what are you committed to doing for you over these 8 days and the rest of the few weeks, right? What is a daily practice that doesn't feel too big or too overwhelming that you can come back to yourself with over this time when your parents are here?
I definitely am getting drawn to like the mirror work and then the grounding work. So both of those things I really actually enjoy. So I think I'm going to start there, especially with the grounding, because that's pretty like easy and straightforward. And
yeah,
if I need to get away from them, I can always go out the front of the house or the back of the house, or go for a walk or something like that. So I definitely want to get back into that, because even just sitting, because I did it for a while where I actually just went and sat on the lawn. It was and just sat there. So definitely that. The mirror work again with I want to try and get an affirmation locked in as well. I know we talked about that the other week with
how are you going with that?
I've got a few things written down, so I want to actually, now that I've got the time, is actually get one in place that really sort of works through
And
that.
so when are you committed to sending it to me?
I want to do it by, what's today, Sunday? Let's say Wednesday. So I've got 3 days because I've already written a few down. So it's just sort of working.
You can choose more than one. But I'd suggest when you do choose one that feels and lands in your body, you put it on your mirror or your sticky notes or your whiteboards or however that looks.
Yeah. So I want to do that as well because I think that will be really helpful. And I can either do that in the mirror or when I go do grounding work. So it's not something that has to be done any time of the day. So I think
and the grounding work will be really good for you when your parents here because it's just going to keep bringing you back into yourself. You know, if the triggers come up, obviously you just bring yourself back to your grounding. And even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day and you're like, okay, this is my time just to recenter myself, because we can get so caught up, right? Especially when people, you know, staying in our space. So it's really important you keep bringing yourself back to some form of a ritual, like the grounding work, the mirror work, you know, something like that. And just telling, you know, still committing to yourself that you choose you.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it comes down to. You choose yourself first.
Yeah, so definitely those two things. And then if anything sort of just pops up where I feel like journaling or anything like that, I'll still do that as well. So
so like just channel journaling I'll write down, meaning you just know journal what's coming up.
And then the trigger book, if that happens as well. I think that will be probably more prominent than the journaling, but you know.
Okay, so just to recap, between now and when we catch up, you're going to have booked a planning day, business planning day in your diary, so schedule in a full day. Book a breathwork session with Kirsten, so even if it's for February or January, but just pre-book one. And then you can think about your intention closer. Using the trigger book in the next 8 days, and I will send you the trigger worksheet on Monday or Tuesday, the latest. Focusing on your grounding work and your mirror work, and so using the affirmation that you send me by Wednesday, 1 or 2, using that with your mirror work, and then possibly some channel journaling if you feel that is going to, I guess, support you moving forward. So how does that feel?
Good. Really good.
And then reaching out to me at any point, you know, I'll get back to you obviously when I can. Don't think you can't reach out, and obviously knowing you've got the support from me over these 2 weeks or 3 weeks, if something comes up and you don't have to wait. Actually, when did we say we were going to book your next session?
I don't think we did.
I'm just looking in my diary. Because okay. So I'm not taking. This is a bit of a hard one. I'm not back. I'm coaching on the 5th and 6th of Jan, but I'm fully booked, and then I'm going down south to Margaret River with my family. So I kind of wanted. So 27th and then the 3rd. Oh shit!
Now 4th.
When are you going back to work?
I go back on the 11th, so we could do that weekend before. Are you still away then?
Yeah, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, I'm closing my diary out because I want to just switch off.
Or we could do a midweek one.
Can you do the 13th of Jan?
13th? Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I know it's 3 weeks, but we're going to be in contact, so don't worry about that. And I think because I just want to have a look at give me a sec. I think that works out well because you will have 2 sessions in the new year. So if we do one on the 13th and then one in Jan, the N, then Perfect. Then the middle of Feb is when, I think we can do
Yeah,
that.
okay, that's
So
fine.
if you can do the 13th of Jan, give me a time because I'm kind of free.
Maybe 7 o'clock my time, which is 5 o'clock your time or something like that, just so it gives me time to get home.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and then we'll do another one probably the weekend of the 30th of Jan, let's say, and then your new coaching will start the middle of Feb. So it kind of works out. It's just going to be a bit longer in between at the moment. But then there'll be a lot of stuff that will come up. And so when are you committed to booking a breathwork, like getting hold of Kirsten?
I'll message her today.
Yeah. Okay,
perfect. I think we're friends on Facebook now, so I'll message her.
Yeah, I know she's off socials, but actually do Messenger. I'm pretty sure Messenger.
Yeah, she said that, I think.
All right, lovely. Well, I'll send you the worksheet on the trigger stuff, and have a beautiful time with your family.
You too.
Enjoy that, and please, I'll check in with you anyway if I don't hear from you, so don't worry about that. But I'm excited to see what comes up.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, lovely, and have an awesome, great Christmas next week.
Yes, you too. You too.
All right.
All right.
See you, hon. Bye.